Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. Help me get the least few films get more views. I will no longer tolerate films that have single views or in the teens. Try to get everything in the 20s now, that'd be wonderful. This weekend is primarily catch-up weekend. So the latest of the films that didn't get a wide release, didn't make much money, or found their way on the internet. The latest is from HBO again, and they've been doing wonderful documentaries in the last several years. This one is called Beware the Slenderman. This is directed and produced by Irene Taylor Brodsky. This surrounds the Slenderman stabbing in Waukesha, Wisconsin in 2014. So, Beware the Slenderman asks the question, how could this have happened? So the stabbing victim, whose name is Bella, which, again, if you want to go online to find out what the girl's real name is, you can do that. But she was stabbed by her friends multiple times. Morgan Geyser and Annalise Weir, who, they were at a birthday party and they decided, okay, we're gonna appease Slenderman here, and Morgan and Anissa will think to themselves, okay, after we do this, we'll go to Slenderman's mansion in a nearby county, which is 4 or 5 hours away even by car. Brodsky approaches this documentary in two different ways. First of all, by covering the trial, and this trial is currently still ongoing, folks. I think now this documentary shows you their attempts to be tried in juvenile court, which will get you released by age of 18. But of course, during the events of which were shown, yes, these girls are currently being tried in adult court. Brodsky shows you the interrogation tapes in which these girls were brought in shortly after the stabbing. And yes, some of it is rather chilling of how they decided to plan this and how they tried to execute it, which really wasn't all that good. It's not great to begin with, but at least it was botched at best. Of course, Morgan's mother and Anissa's father are both interviewed, and they're, to their credit, they're probably the most attentive parents that you see in a while from people who do shootings and doing some idiotic stuff, because, again, as usual, they're completely blindsided by this. Though, of course, over the course of this film here, it's revealed that Morgan Geyser has been struggling with mental illness her entire life. She's diagnosed with schizophrenia. Her mother, during one interview, basically says she didn't really cry when Baby's mother died, and it's like, well, there you go. It's like, if you can't cry during Baby's mother, you clearly are a heartless monster, I guess. Her father as well suffers from schizophrenia, or it's like, they show her their interrogation tapes of Morgan, and it's like, she doesn't really show you all that remorse of the fact that, yeah, she just recently stabbed someone, I guess, or was accused of stabbing someone. When it comes to Annalise here, it's like, basically, she's categorized as a follower with very few friends. Her teacher, who was interviewed here, basically says, yeah, she cried a lot in class, and it's like, hey, look, it's sad, but, at least her father was always attentive towards her. And now the other aspect of this documentary here is Slenderman himself. But what this documentary basically says here is that modern boogeymen aren't scary. The effects that which children are exposed to modern boogeymen, those are scary. Now this is where I think the documentary gets sort of long in the tooth with this subject, because it's like, it goes to great lengths to show you how boogeymen are formed, the history of how these boogeymen appear, or why, in the case of this particular Slenderman, doesn't seem to be finding anywhere near burning itself out. It started as fan art in 2009 of all places, and it grew slowly from there into Creepypasta Wiki, which I guess were scary stories, and people can form their own narrative of how and who Slenderman is. In one case, it's like, yeah, children of bullied or lonely children can find comfort in Slenderman. At least one psychologist points out, hey, Slenderman is another long line of societal fears that goes all the way back to the Pied Piper of Hamelin, in which the people, refused to pay up after he got rid of the rats. One psychologist will say, hey, look, he's just a virus. Unfortunately, this virus hasn't burned itself out yet. And there's also a Slenderman movie in the works. That's how entrenched Slenderman has become in just a few short years. It's considering all the very slick YouTube videos that you often see about Slenderman up on YouTube, And again, people still think he's real. That is just, that's really just amazing. So in the end, folks, Beware the Slenderman is a good but not particularly great documentary because of the overall psychology aspect of Slenderman, which I think, if you're interested in the psychology of how people have society fears and to sue psychology meters, that'll be fascinating to you. More interested here in the true crime aspect of this film. So what I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm giving this a matinee rating. Considering this is HBO, it's on the HBO website. You can find it online anywhere. So folks, what did you think about Beware the Slenderman? Did you happen to like it? Did you happen to care for it at all? Please put that in the comment section, folks, below. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe. Enrich yourself with knowledge. I'll be back later on. See ya.